Hi Mimi. All right, so here's your past life spread, and excuse my voice, I'm losing it a little. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get impressions and let you know what I'm seeing and sensing, all that good stuff, and it's your job to make connections from what we see in this life to your current life, and I'll help you along the way. All right? Okay, so first we're going to look at where we are, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day, another important day, your death, and the lesson learned. And we'll get hits of the time period throughout, all right? So let's start. And you can see we're starting in Asia. And so right away what I'm getting, it's not full on China, it's not even Japan, but it's like there is water where you work. It could be the coast. I'm getting more of south of China. I'm gonna say, I'm not very good at geography, but I'm gonna say like a place like a Southeast Asia place like Thailand, but I don't know if it's exactly Thailand. But there is wherever we are here, there is technically like a empire or kingdom going on at this time, and it's not very modern, but it's not so far as ancient. It's within a few centuries back. I'm saying, like, I'm thinking if there's something like in the 1800s in this time period, and we're kind of centering in on a kingdom of some sort because it's putting you in the main area of the city, so to speak. So like the city center where the higher ups live. And we're looking at this card of what you do with the majority of your time, and this is the laborer card. So we get this card sometimes, a lot of times, when we're looking at like hard labor. But in this case, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a female. I'm seeing this female just like scurrying around everywhere. And why we're getting this card is because you are a very hard worker at what you do, but you're more of a, and not a servant, but above a servant, like someone who everyone goes to, like if there's a house and you're the mistress of the house, except this is kind of like a palace, and you kind of not run it, but you serve everyone there, and you make sure everything is okay, and you put everything right, or you'll notice something off and you're the one that fixes it. You just know where everything goes and what everyone should be doing. And I don't get the feeling though that you're kind of like a, like a dragon lady, like like I don't get that. I get a feeling that people actually really like you, and I get this personality of like you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar kind of thing, which I feel like isn't very common for this. So you just have this disposition where people respect you and you get everything done, and you're also a really hard worker, very busy, like a feeling of very, very busy, but you don't dislike it. You actually like it. It's kind of like a place of honor, honestly, as far as like working class goes. This is a place of honor to be in at this time doing what you do. And I'm seeing this woman, I'm seeing dark hair, I'm seeing an older woman. I want to say maybe in her 40s-ish. I know that's not very much older, but no, maybe like late 40s. And it's almost like her hair is either up or it's short. So I'm just seeing hair from like the kind of like the jawline kind of thing. So it's either pulled back or it's short. And I'm seeing her in kind of like workers' robes, kind of a loose attire. It's lighter. I want to say everyone that works in this palace area has similar dress, but there's something on her that kind of gives her the recognition of a little bit like the king's right hand person, like she would be the one to serve him his tea, that kind of thing. All right, so we're going to the first important day. So this card, it's the conquered, they have come, or welcome card. It's when a group of people are coming into a territory, and either they're welcomed or they're coming to take over. So I'm trying to see what this day is. I'm just connecting. I'm like, what's going on here? This is the friends card. So what is happening? Okay. So I'm feeling like there are people coming in that they've been there before, but they're coming in as far as like negotiating peace treaties, as far as keeping them in order. So it's not like they're coming with any ulterior motives. I feel like like, there's a good relationship you have with these other people. This isn't your family. This is like the kingdom or palace that you're in, the land that you're in. I feel like this land, wherever you are, has a good connection with the other land that's nearby it. And it's almost like the people that lead the lands might even be related. So there's this mutual respect going on, and they're just showing me like having this this party, essentially. It's like a dinner party, and you are running the kitchen, running the room, making sure all the servants and everybody is in place. And it's almost like you're like this grandmotherly kind of thing where you just like pat someone along, go on, do your thing. Like, you're really respected, really liked here, and you really enjoy what you do, and you're really good at it. It's really good. There's a feeling of knowing your place. So your job is to make connections. So it's almost like this woman, she feels like she really knows her place here, and she's really happy with just knowing her place. Even though it's not making like this huge impact on the world, she's making a big impact on this intimate part of the world that's hers. So you might be someone in your life that really is impactful to your small community around you, or your family alone. And it's almost like, it could be like, maybe at a time in this life you didn't know your place, and now you are becoming to know your place, and it feels so good. Maybe you're getting more comfortable in your skin at this time in your life. On the other hand, what it could mean is, by showing us this woman who was really comfortable in her skin, knew her place, you could be going through a time where you're feeling like you don't know your place, and so you're being shown this woman to show you that you can know your place. It's really about simplifying and like letting things be and just kind of rolling along with things. So just keep that in mind. That's the kind of connections you want to make. And this card is a duality card for positive, negative, how you feel about things. Sometimes it can mean mixed emotions, but it's like a strong, heavy, positive feeling about this. This is a person who just is in the right place. They know their purpose, and they're happy. And not only that, but this purpose, like, she sees what she gives in her plate. Like, even though she's just a servant, so to speak, or running that, she sees the effect she has. She knows the impact she makes, and she doesn't have an ego about it. There's no ego here. It's just this lovely person doing what they're meant to be doing, and just kind of rolling through their life. And it's really nice to see that. It's very easygoing here. And so when they're showing me this easygoing feeling, this life, it could mean that maybe there's something is going on in your life where you're feeling like you need to make a decision, and you're torn, or something's coming up, and all you really have to do is like step back and let things happen. That's what this could mean. And it kind of gives you that, it wants to give you back the feeling of, hey, you know what it's like to just do your part, do your duty, your part, and just let things fall into place. All right? So let's go to the next important life. We're seeing a graduation, and this doesn't really mean school or anything. It could mean school, but in this case, what I'm getting is a graduation into this next, like, it's like career, but your career is so tied into your life here that it's like you graduate almost like you're taking on the feeling of being part of the family, the royal family. Even though you're not, it's like that treatment of being recognized. It's almost like you're getting a recognition for the amazing job that you do. Whether the recognition is like a small dinner in your favor, or a almost like a medal, kind of something, a plaque, an award, something that you can have, like a piece of jewelry that you have that can show you, like, good job for everything you've done. Here you go. Here's a piece of the royal family heirloom, or something like that. It's given to you or bestowed upon you. A feeling of something being bestowed upon you on this day. And there's a karmic connection involved, and the feelings of love. So I'm trying to see what's happening here. I feel like, okay, so what they're showing me is that you take on a new role, is what it is. And this new role, I feel like there is an heir that was born to this family, and you take on the role of helping raise this child so much that it's almost like you're being made a honorary grandmother. So you take on the role of being this child's honorary grandmother, and you're so involved in the life, and this child and you have a very close connection, like almost like you will see this child again in other lives. It just so happens in this life you're the grandmother figure, and this child will remember you as such, and this child is the grandchild figure to you. And it's almost like a feeling of you thought you knew everything from all this stuff you've been doing your whole life. You thought you knew everything, and then here comes this child, and it's like this whole new world opens up. And this can mean a few things. I want to say to you, currently, it doesn't necessarily have to mean a child. I mean, perhaps you do have a child in this life where you gave birth to your child, or one of your children, or all your children, if you have children, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, a whole new world I never saw coming. Or it can also mean that in this life, you're coming into this new phase, a birth of a new feeling or idea or period of time where you never thought you'd feel this way. Like maybe you've been working throughout your life at one thing or in a particular pattern or a certain thought pattern or a certain way. And then all of a sudden you're hitting this period in your life where all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like all of a sudden your intuition is kicking in, and you're knowing things you never knew before, you're feeling things you never felt. It's like almost like a new world opening up within you. That's what I feel like there might be a connection with. So keep that in mind and make that connection for yourself. And these feelings of love go with this child. It's that whole like new world thing. It's a deeper sense of love. You had love for your job. You had love for the people that worked for you. You had love for the people that you serve. I want to say you really didn't have a family, quite frankly, like a husband and children. I didn't get that here. But here, there's a whole new depth of love that comes with this child. And it's kind of interesting, too, because it's coming so much later in life. You didn't even expect it. You know, you thought you knew everything, and then, oh, what do you know? So much later in life, this whole new world opens up. It's a very cool feeling. So keep that in mind, too. Over here, we're going to go to the death. So the death is, this card is a water death. It can mean drowning, it can mean waterboarding. I'm trying to see what happens here. So give me a second. What's going on? Okay, so it's really interesting. They're showing me a picture of you basically dying at the banks of a river, and you're watching the child who's now fully able, ooh, that kid is like, I'm seeing like this young boy running around. I think he reaches 11 or 12. And at that point is when it's like you're outside with him. And I want to say this is like inside still like palace walls, but there's land inside the walls, and a river runs through it. And it's almost like at the edge near the wall. And like beyond is a forest. It's just like, it's just what they're showing me. And you're leaned up against this tree. And it's just, I feel like you just leave. You just kind of nod off to take a nap, and you nod off for good. It's a very peaceful going, which is nice, because we haven't had very peaceful ones with this card. And it's almost like, I want to say, they're showing me an expression where you pass with a smile on your lips. It's almost like you're watching the boy play with like something at the edge of the river, at like the minnows or something you'd find right at the edge of a river, and you're taking such delight. There's so much overwhelming love in this moment, and it's like you just kind of breathe out, relax your eyes, and then you go. And the boy finds you, and I see it like he goes and runs calling for help because you won't wake up. It's kind of bittersweet. So that's the death. And so we get to this beautiful card here. Of course, this lesson. This is a great lesson to go with this life, and it's a lesson of enlightenment, you know, and that can mean a lot of things. Enlightenment and, you know, the psychic senses, or enlightenment and so many things, but there's really true enlightenment here that occurred between this and this. This woman, this part of her life, it just came over here, and so much happened. This depth of love, that's where the enlightenment occurred. Your lesson was to not only give yourself over to the ebb and flow of what this life had in store for you, which it did, but it was also to realize a deeper love, and you really allowed that to happen, because you could have seen this child as just something to take care of. You could have seen it as part of your job, but you didn't. You allowed this well of love in you. It was so deep to come forward, and this is where the enlightenment happens, because love is enlightenment, feeling this depth of love, all the different kinds of love. And you felt so many kinds of love. Love for your land, love for your people, love for yourself even, but really here you started to appreciate yourself more too. And so that's where the enlightenment comes in. And I feel like in your current life, the lesson, how this ties in, is really learning to love and appreciate all of the levels of yourself, all of the layers and levels of yourself, which you might even not think of as positive. You might not see it as great. Maybe your emotional states, maybe you're a very emotional person, and sometimes you might not like that, but learn to love it, because that is what allows you to connect with your people, with the people around you. And that's something to be valued. So anyway, there's your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for letting me read you. Hey Mimi, okay, here's your second one. So again, we're going to go to the place, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day, another important day, your death, and the lesson learned. So, oh, cool. Okay, so let's start with where we are. The Americas. All right. So, trying to see, we're going somewhere central. So if we're going somewhere in Central America, that's probably like Mexico area, but I want to say it's at the bottom part of Mexico. There's like a little country at the bottom part of Mexico it's showing me, or maybe at the top of the South America. There's these countries that are right at the bottom of Central and the top of the South America continents. There's countries right here. There's something right there. This is where we are, okay? This is where this past life takes place. So find a map and look it up. This is interesting. All right. I don't know where Ecuador is. Maybe there's like an E name. Keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. So the majority of your time, what this is telling me is that you are a wanderer. You moved around a lot. And I'm going to say with a group of people. Okay, so I'm getting like a tribal feeling here. I'm getting something like a tribal feeling of people who move around in a small community. I'm getting the feeling like this is actually the kind of thing where civilization is going on. Like this isn't too far back. It's like if they went to another country, like there are hubs of civilization occurring around them, but they remain more primitive in a tribal setting. Almost like they stay away from the cities to continue on with the life that they already know. It feels ritualistic. These people do ceremonies. I'm trying to think. But they move around. But it's not like teepees set up around a campfire kind of thing. How are they set up? It's like they move around, and it's not a teepee. I'm not seeing like teepees. It's like these small buildings. Actually, I want to say like it's like there's many larger building structures, okay? So like a structure where many people sleep in them. And then for some reason, maybe I don't know how the hierarchy works, but I feel like there's small structures where it's intimate families, and then larger structures for groupings of people. Maybe like the whoever heads this tribe or community, whoever heads it gets their own like place where they get to like their own enclosure, and like I feel like it's like a community of people that go out and they hunt and they work and they like all day. It's busy. So who are you in this? It's such a feeling of a community that's almost like there's not a big feeling of individualization when it comes to you alone in here. Like you identify yourself as a group rather than individual. And that's how you stay together, is by having like a kind of a group thought, if that makes sense. almost like too much emphasis on the individual is put down. So keep in mind when you make connections to your current life, you actually might have feelings of maybe not even like loving being in a group, more like feelings like maybe you feel inadequate in standing out for being special in some way. Like you don't want to call attention to yourself in some way, even though you know that you have gifts of some sort or skills. Maybe you're like very athletic or something, but you don't want to call attention to it. So you do team sports, you know, that kind of thing. It's interesting. Like where you have the ability to be very competitive and win, but you put yourself into team sports to play with the team. That kind of thing. So keep that in mind. So if you did team sports growing up, something like that, that's where a connection can be made. So we move to this important day, and we're seeing a war. This is the war card. But it doesn't mean there's a war happening. It can mean there's a war in sight, a war coming. It can also mean internal war, so I'm trying to feel this out. It's funny because there's a soul group involved, which I feel like has to do with being in this group of people that you're with. You travel together and you chose to be in this community together, knowing you'd be very connected in that way. Feelings of being torn. It's interesting because this card is very break apart kind of thing, like with a war, and then the torn feelings. What's happening? There's so I'm getting there's a feeling of this internal struggle where the generations are clashing. This community has been around for a long time, but with the modern era coming about, you can't help but realize that there is life going on outside of this community and progress being made in certain technologies. I want to say they almost like they hear trains, like this is the time of trains, and they can hear steam engines. And the youth in this group, which I feel like you're a part of the youth, the new generation in this group, they want to explore, they want to be a part of it, they want to see what's going on, they want to be a part of civilization. And the older, more reserved, distinguished people of this community want to keep it like really traditional. It's almost like what we're seeing right now in our world. And this is like a very tumultuous time in your group because it's like you're part of this group that's talking about breaking away and running away. And I feel like you find a group of people, this soul group, a group of friends where you're all on the same page, and it took you so long to finally all come together and admit it because it's something you can't talk about because it's almost like taboo. But you get together with these group, you find each other, and this feeling of torn is like you would have to leave your family. Such a sense of family here. You have to leave your family, everything you know, but it's like your heart is calling out to this unknown, to this adventure, to what's awaiting you out there in the world. And it's scary too. There's feelings of fear associated with this because in a sense you're almost scared of being naive to step out into something you don't know where you won't have a footing. And here you have a footing, but it's the same thing over and over again, and you're ready to move on, especially with these people, and you all give each other strength. It's almost like finding your tribe within your tribe. So make that connection in your current life. I feel like that is something important for you, finding the tribe within the tribe. Like you have a family that you love, but even so, there are people within your family that you can really rely on and bond with on a certain level, on a deeper level, a more real level. And these are people you should probably be paying more attention to or trusting. Like there are people you can trust more if you're teetering on the fence, almost like you're afraid of being vulnerable. And you really have to just go for it and take a risk and be vulnerable in order to really find your footing in the path you're supposed to be taking. So keep that in mind. So this next important day, Mother Nature, something happens in Mother Nature, and we have a Friends card. What's happening? There's a test on this day. This day there is a test. You do end up leaving this community, but it's like you come across these things where it's like something happens where you go down a path and it's blocked by rocks, or something happens like you're blocked. You keep finding blocks, and normally in the community you would take these blocks as a way of like, oh, we should turn back and go back, but instead you're doing a different route. You're saying, oh, these blocks mean we go this way, these blocks mean we go this way, and you just keep pressing forward even though so instead of seeing the blocks as obstacles, you're seeing the blocks now as a pathway. That's very important. I feel like it's important for you to know right now that instead, whatever you feel is blocking you, see it in a more positive light. See it from a different perspective, a larger picture. The things that are blocking you right now are not telling you to turn back. They're not telling you to go back into what you knew or retreat. They're telling you, oh, this way is blocked, so go this way. But keep moving forward. That's important. And I feel like the friends card is important because the soul group, it's the same people. You're working together. And like when one person's like, oh, maybe we should go back, the rest of you are like, no, this means let's move forward. So it's like you control each other into keep moving forward. So it's almost like you take turns in like feeling fearful and like, oh, we should retreat. And the rest of you gather together and you're like, no, this means move forward. It's a very positive vibe. It's almost like maybe in this lifetime, pay attention to those people who tell you move forward, keep going forward. Follow your intuition, follow your gut, keep going. The quite capable and capable card, it can mean mixed feelings, but it's really quite capable here. It is mixed because sometimes you'll feel incapable of your abilities and the other people will come around and be like, no, we are capable, we can do this. Overall, it is a quite capable feeling moving forward. And I feel like you do get out and you do somehow assemble into life, even though I feel like you're in a working class kind of thing when you get out. It's because you have to climb the ladder, you're starting from the bottom. It's interesting. It's like you're not being shunned away from society, but you are being, in the way of welcome, you're being welcomed as kind of a curiosity because you're unlike what the people have seen before. They thought basically your tribe, your community is like a lost legend, and you're coming forward and saying, no, we're real and we're getting out. So it's really interesting, and getting out is really what this life is about. So we come to the death card and it's by accident. And it's like almost like you get hit by something or you get mauled by something because of your lack of identification with the current times, with the modern times. Almost like a train hits you or a carriage, a horse hits you. It's like you don't know what's going on around you. It's almost like if someone from the wild joined our community today in the modern and they stepped in front of a moving car on the road because they've never seen one before. That's the feeling this is. I want to say it's a moving vehicle, but it's not like a car, and I don't think it's a train. I want to say it's something like something like you get run over by something. Yeah, something in it's like something in your chest area. Maybe, okay, so I feel like this is like something stepped on like a horse steps on your chest cavity or something in your chest. So if you have like problems with asthma, breathing, or if you get a quickened heartbeat every now and then, I feel like if your heart palpitates and races for no reason, if that makes sense, then it stems from here. If it doesn't, that's fine, but I feel like there's a sense of it in your chest. Maybe you get like something with your chest, breathing, allergies, asthma, maybe quick to get an infection in your chest like bronchitis or pneumonia. If that's you, if that speaks to you, then it stems from this life. So keep that in mind. And this card is to love others. That's a love others card. And I feel like that was founded in this group by being vulnerable. There's a lesson in vulnerability and learning love through vulnerability and receiving love by being vulnerable. And that's important. I feel like that's really important. And vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. And I feel like if you use that in your current life, it can be it can be a strength for you. It's going to be what can help you move forward and find the right people and find the right environment, or if that's something you're curious about. Something about vulnerability with you is very important. So there is your life. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks again for letting me read you.